Hey there, comic book fans. I am back again with another look at some random battered old comic that I have. And this is Thor 131. I'm not sure the last time I opened this. And this is battered mostly because it's got all sorts of writing on it. Now I know everybody loves their comics in mint condition and everything, blah, 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 blah. But I have a special love for comics that 40 years ago someone wrote all over just because they were bored one day. It says, we got a good shit or get off the pot there. And I said, someone gave this to me. I think I showed this off in one video years ago. Orwell snored. We're writing on it right there. And all sorts of handwriting on it down here. Little bathroom poetry. By Wallace Brown or Wallace Brown Nose. Like I said, I just find that stuff funny that he colored in Thor's hat too. But let's look at this. Look at this one. I haven't seen this one in ages. Cover's still attached, even though it's really brown and falling apart. Oh, it's Kirby and Coletta. We get a little Hercules in this one. These are the issues that Coletta is famous for inking and erasing so much of Jack Kirby's work. So who knows what was in here? Who knows if there was a background behind here that Coletta just was in too much of a hurry to ink. But a lot of people like Coletta's inking because they like that little thin feathery line he gave Kirby. Not my favorite though. Oh, who's that? I remember her. Calling her that. Some nice Kirby machinery here. Look at this, the messed up, looks like half the comics coming out there. Ooh, get me a jackpot bank and a monster. I always wanted to order one of these monster posters, but I never did. I think some people, I know some people who ordered those, they went on their doors. They were pretty big. I don't know if they were posters or they were cutouts. I can't remember, because they had the ones that were like hinged too. On the arms and whatever that were cutouts. Ah, the Rigelians or something like that. Man, I haven't looked at this comic in a long time. It's really not in bad shape on the inside. It's just that cover that's drawn all over. Certainly not as bad shape as that A Strange Tales comic we looked at. But yeah, this is some this is the kind of stuff that people like Coletta for. That little thin, feathery line in his hair. And if you look up, instead of the big, chunky line that Jack Kirby liked to draw with, and, some later inkers who really followed Jack Kirby's work, like Royer did. He's got this thin, feathery. Crash! Once again, who knows what was... There's so many blank backgrounds that it's like, who knows what was erased from behind there. Is your hair growing or going? Man, could you imagine back then if you got your anti-baldness formula from a comic book? How would that work? Male pattern baldness is the cause of great majority of cases of baldness. There you go. But man, who sent away for this? Who was reading their comic book? Who was reading their Thor comic book and then said, they can cure my baldness? Let's see what else we have in this one. Oh, speaking at the UN, the Rigelians or whoever they were. Rigel. Man, I don't even remember much of this story. It's been a long, long time. We're going to encircle the earth in flames. But I have to say that just glancing at this one, this is one of the This looks like one of the better inked Vince Colletta stories. He certainly put a lot of, you know, blank. The background's going to be pretty blank, but he put a lot of lines in here. A lot of speed lines, a lot of explosion lines. Oh, look at that. That's why this one's not in so good a shape. The centerfold is pulled. Look at Fantasy Masterpieces number 4. Oh, that one looks good. Who's Cap fighting there? I don't remember that cover. It's Cap fighting a giant guy in a metal helmet. Don't remember that at all. Fantastic Four number 54. Man, I don't remember this I don't think they showed this Fantastic Four cover much with the Human Torch flying straight at you. That one isn't that familiar to me. A lot of famous Fantastic Four covers from that period. I don't think that's one of them. What else do we have here? Oh, some Jack Kirby, what is that, collage stuff. But as you can see, the printing was so bad on this collage stuff. That's just dark. That gets really muddy. I mean, you can barely see that image, what's going on there. But he'd like to try and experiment with collage things. Ooh, he karate chops Thor right in the midsection. Let's see what else we got here. Thor in a completely blank background. Nearly blank background. Once again, it was this little stuff in here that people like Colletta for. This little feathering. Sort of the precursor to 90s, or late 80s, early 90s, all that hatching they did in there, those image guys. Oh, we're already done with the main story. Stamp collecting outfit. Sell grit. I think I ran into one person in my lifetime who actually sold grit. I can't remember who it was, but they were like, yeah, sold grit. Some more bullpen bulletins. Ah, this is the Tales of Asgard. More Colletta inking. It's again some nice Colletta inking here. Look at that. He looks like he had a good deadline rather than a really tight one. Look at those, some nice folds in Volstagg there. Some nice lines and folds, and that barrel is even pretty nicely delineated. So, you know, though Vince Colletta is notorious for, because Vince Colletta was the guy who, if you needed a job inked over the weekend, they would give it to him, which of course meant he couldn't do as detailed an inking as he would if he had plenty of time to do it. This looks like he had plenty of time to do it, because there's lots of work going on in here. Volstagg was always hitting people with his stomach. I never thought much of that as a fighting technique as a kid. Every time I saw Volstagg hitting someone with the stomach, I'm like, you know, I'm not much of a martial arts expert, but I'm pretty sure that doesn't work. I'm not really Thor, I've got dark hair. There's an all-seeing eye of something. There we go, a little look at, oh, the Hammer Strikes. Who do you get letters from in this one? The residents of the 4th floor, North Hall, University of Bridgeport. Oh, look at that. Len Olson, Robert Gersman, and Peter Von Schally. Sometimes I always like to look at the names in these letters pages, because sometimes you find someone who went on to work in comics. Oh, there's the 200 World War II soldiers, 2 armies. Only $1.09. I wonder if these were the one. I always wanted to order these, but I never did. But I know somebody who did order them, and they were paper cutouts. They weren't those, you know, little green army men soldiers. They were all paper cutouts. So everybody who got them was like, crying once they saw that. Pieces of paper. There we go. If you need to earn extra money, and you know just 10 people, you can make $50. Woo! Good old Wallace Brown. Like I said, Most people want comics with in the best condition possible, and so do I. But I just love these drawn-on comics too. There's nothing like them. You can't, you know, they're sort of artifacts of a certain age, of a certain afternoon of boredom in some random person's house who had a pen. Even though, and that, like I said, I can barely read some of the writing in here; it's turned brown. But I just love written on covers. What can I say? But anyway, there's a little look at Thor 131, and you guys have a good week out there.